Hey guys, this is Nick, and this is Nick's Collectables. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of Wave 1 of the Turtles in Time by NECA. What you can see here is we have the Foot Soldier and Leonardo. Both of these guys look like they come with a surfboard. Leonardo has his blades here, and the Foot Soldier has what looks to be a katana over here and his blaster over here. In the back you can kind of see the surfboard here, and you can definitely see it here on Leonardo. Leonardo has a little bit different facial expression than Donatello does, but the colorization on the actual pixelization is the same here. It is far more dramatic on the Foot Soldier. So what we're going to do is we're going to open these guys up, we're going to take a look at them, and we're going to see what the differences are. I am going to try a few different techniques to help with the joints because Captain D was nice enough to kind of give me some pointers on the last video as ways to loosen up the joints so these are a little bit easier to work with. So we're going to try a couple of things. I'm going to try a warm water bath, and I'm going to try a little bit of a heating pad, I think, to try to make sure that the joints are loose if they're not quite loose enough when we get them out of the box. I still think you probably should not have to do that with this level of figure, but anything I can do to make these things a little bit more playable, a little bit more easier to pose is something that I'm willing to take the chance on and go ahead and try. So we're going to dig into that, and hopefully we're going to have a good time. Stick with me. Alright guys, we've gotten both of these guys out of the box. I thought we'd go ahead and take a look at the Foot Soldier first because he was the biggest surprise for me out of the series. Just the detail on him, the articulation on him, the look of the board and everything is phenomenal. If you take a look here, you can see all the pixelization here. You can even see a little detail right here on the eye. Let me move that forward just a little bit so you can kind of see it. But you can see that that's right there. If you turn him a little bit, you can see he's got really good facial detail here. It's kind of sunken in a little bit to where it looks like it form fits to his face really well. The sword is pretty well detailed and fits really well into his hand. Matter of fact, he comes with both of these being this fist hand like this, and I went ahead and replaced one of them with the grip. The other one can be replaced with a grip as well. Now, he also comes with this blaster, which is kind of a very old school retro stick a plunger in front of something and make it look like a blaster. That's not a dig on NECA, that's actually kind of how this looked. So, I mean, it looks very much like it's supposed to. It's even got the pixelization along it, like right here, and then back here, and it's got a grip for both of his hands so he can hold it in both hands. If we go ahead and move him back a little bit and take him off of the board for a moment, and just move him to the side, you can actually see the board itself has the Foot Soldier symbol. It's a nice kind of blue color. Underneath, you can actually see it's got the fin, it's got kind of a gray color, and it's got that same stand that I was raving on before where it can just kind of move in any direction that you want it to move. Now, the Foot Soldier himself actually has really good mobility. Even just out of the box, I didn't have to do anything to him. I didn't have to do any kind of like heating pad. All I had to do was just work the joints a little bit. He has good motion in the knee here, like that. He has good foot articulation, mostly back and forth, like so. His leg, at least on this side because of the seam here, will come way out like that. So that's actually really, really good. Now, he doesn't have quite as much on this side. Well, he does. He's got that same split over here, so it'll do the same thing over here, which is nice. His head articulation is good. He'll move up and down a little bit. He's got good side to side. He can pretty much do a full 360. He can move at the bicep, which is pretty indicative of these figures. Like that. And then the elbow moves up and down. The reason I'm holding him right now is because I'm having trouble standing him on my surface. I don't think that's a problem with the figure. I think it's a problem with my surface being uneven and him just not being able to really stand stably as a result. So that's not a dig on the figure. I am absolutely stoked about this guy. I love him. If you turn him around, you can even see he's got really good details back here. You can see right here around the calf, he's got a little bit more pixelization. Moving up, he's got it on the thigh again. He's got it right back here on the skirt. And then if you move up, he's got it on the torso. And then right here where it turns to purple in both of these sections, he's got it there. There's a little bit of colorization difference between here and here, but that's not too bad. It's still better blended than some of the turtles had been. And overall, this guy has been a surprise home run. I mean, absolute thumbs up to NECA. I love this guy. I think he's phenomenal. I can't recommend him enough. I highly, highly, highly recommend you guys pick this up if you're a fan of Turtles, and especially if you're a fan of Turtles in Time. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Leonardo and see how he looks. I'm super stoked right now. I'm excited again to have a NECA toy in my hands. Let's get to it. So guys, here's Leonardo. My initial impression of him is amazing. Again, another straight up thumbs up from me. This guy was the same case. All I had to do was work the joints a little bit back and forth. It did require a little bit of force, but once I got them moved a little bit here and there, they immediately started moving the way they're supposed to. You can see he's got both of his swords in his hands. He's got a good articulation vertically here at the shoulder, which I was having a hard time getting done with Donatello, so I may need to work with him or do the heating pad / warm water thing like Captain D had recommended before. Very similar to Donatello. If you look here, you can see that the L on Leonardo is kind of gray, is that kind of light gray. So it's not very distinguishable from the rest of the emblem. I wish they had colored that, much like I wish they had colored it on Donatello. Again, you can see his facial expression is a little bit different. His swords are really nicely done. Let's go ahead and move that a little closer so you guys can see. But they're really well done. You can see a little bit of like there where they pulled it out of the mold, but that's not that big of a deal. That's pretty common across any figure. Now, if we go ahead and pull him off the board and move him to the side, you can see the board is almost exactly like Donatello's. Matter of fact, it's the same board. It just has a blue color. The bottom is exactly the same, and the stand works exactly like the one worked before. They all work the same way. I still think this is a super cool addition, and my hat's off to NECA for doing it, and for doing it so well, because it's stable at almost any angle with any of the figures. That is fantastic. So if we move Leo back in shot here, you can see he's going to have good motion here at the elbow, like that. He can move up to there. The bicep will move back and forth. His shoulder here, it'll move up to here and then back down. That's about as good an articulation as you could have with anything with a turtle shell. You can see really good detailing here between the two shell bits. You can actually see the pixelization here, and you can see it here on the belt as well. It continues down through the leg, and then one thing that I noticed on mine that's a little weird, it's not a major ding, but that moves great right there. It's good foot articulation, but it moves an entirely different location to the same angle on the other foot. I'm not sure why mine does that. It's not a big deal because he has the full range of motion. So I really don't mind it. It's just a bit of an oddity out of the figure. I don't know if that's indicative of the line, if it's just indicative of mine. And it's a minor little defect. But overall, he's phenomenal. His head moves great. If you turn him around onto the back, you can get a good look at the pixelization here. And then you can see the belt here. And then you can actually, if you tilt it right here, you can see where he can sheath both of his swords in there. So that is fantastic. Overall, this guy is phenomenal. He looks great. He'll actually probably stand better. Yeah, he actually stands better than the foot soldier does just because of the way his weight is balanced. I don't know exactly why the foot soldier doesn't want to stand on my table, but Leo does not have that problem. It could be his foot design because he's got a little bit more of a heel than the foot soldier does. But overall, freaking thumbs up. Love this guy. I highly recommend that you pick up both Leonardo, and I highly recommend that you pick up the foot soldier. The foot soldier was a rock star out of this line. He was the one I expected the least out of, and he is the one I got the most out of this entire line. One of the things I will mention before we finish up with Leonardo and do the group shot is that he actually has a couple of very different, he has two other hands. I can't see myself particularly using these, but they are here if you want them. He has one for each hand, and they bend exactly like Donatello's do. You can kind of see the hinge there. So if you want to put those in there, you can. I don't see myself using them because they don't really look like they would hold anything, and I can't see wanting to make him do that particular finger point. But more accessories are better than fewer accessories in my mind. So it's there and part of the packaging, and I would be negligent if I didn't cover it with you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick brief break, and I'm going to bring the other two in, which I've done some more work on since I've been filming this one. And I'm happy to say that Slash is in a much better condition now than he was prior to. I've gotten a significant more amount of mobility out of him just by sitting down and spending a lot more time working on the joints in the figure. I didn't have to heat him up either. I just really had to work on him for quite a while to loosen him up enough to where he could pose the way I wanted him to pose. Now mine still has the issue of one of his arms right around the bicep area is too loose. So that still flops over. So that's still a defect on mine. It's not a game breaker. He's a very good figure, and I can say he now gets a thumbs up from me, and you should go out and buy him because he's still the best mold out of the entire series, and I still think he's the coolest character out of this entire first wave. So if you can, go ahead and pick him up. Donatello's a similar state. He's getting better the more I work with him. Apparently, these figures are just extra stiff in a lot of cases. And you just have to carefully continue to work them until they loosen up, or you can take a heating pad or some warm water, something to basically just loosen up the joints a little bit so that you get that mobility. Make sure you're careful and you don't apply too much force because you could apply stress fractures and break them. So just be a little extra careful. It may be a little bit better in the long run if you did use something like a hairdryer or warm water just to warm up the plastic to make it more malleable before you start working the joints. That's probably a safer option than the way I did it. However, the way I did it worked, and I'm happy enough with that. So I'm going to go ahead and pause. I'm going to get them all together in a group shot, probably most of them on their boards, maybe with Slash in the frame so you can kind of see him kind of bent and moved and posed a little better than he was on the last shot. And then we're going to call it for this wave, but so far, so good. Go out, buy your turtles, enjoy the Turtles in Time line. NECA, you have done a fantastic job. Thank you for bringing these out, bringing these to life. They are absolutely fantastic figures, and I'm having a blast with them. Like I'm a kid again and collecting turtles all over again. And that's really what this is about. So, let's get them all together. So guys, here they are, all in frame. You can see the foot shoulders a little out of focus because he's the furthest back. But all together, I think they look great. They all fit together. They all look within the same theme. The one that looks the most cartoonish, honestly, is Slash, but that's because of the whites of his eyes and just some of the colorization on his face. But I wouldn't want him to look any different, if I'm honest. So if you guys had the means to be able to pick these guys up, they are sub $100 for the set of 4. They come with a good number of accessories that I think make them totally worth it. And I think they'll look great together on a shelf. So I'm absolutely all in on these guys. I think they're fantastic. And now I'm absolutely looking forward to Wave 2, which I think is going to have Shredder and an alligator character whose name I can't remember, along with Michelangelo and Raphael. So look for that to come out on my channel whenever those drop. I think they come out sometime in May. So until then, pick these guys up, enjoy them, play with them. The one thing I will say is the foot soldier is getting a smidge on the loose side the more I mess with him. So you might not want to mess with him too much. You might want to get him in some poses and kind of leave him there from time to time because he's a little looser than the others. So I'm kind of starting to understand more why they want their figures a little more stiff than a little loose, because they don't really have the ratcheting joints on it that help them have that kind of resistance that some of the more high-end figures have. However, what they do have works. These work. They're at a good price point. They are fun. They are exactly what they're supposed to be, and I can't recommend that you pick them up enough. So, until next time, guys, I'm out.